Salute, this is Jeff.
This is David.
Hi, David.
Hi, Jeff.
I'm going to recommend a game I love. We're going to listen to this music because it's awesome.
Okay.
The Dragon's Dogma, Dark Arisen, is the expansion pack to Dragon's Dogma. The original version of the game had this title music, which I have cut into the video.
Oh, this is
which
not
is
what's
called Into Free. It is extremely cheesy, hyper-positive J-rock, and I unironically love the crap out of it. Also because it has this awesome orchestral introduction that has the theme playing.
Right. You don't actually expect what's coming next, and then it does.
The little flanger. It's so good.
It's so good.
I like it so much.
The first time you turned this game on, we were in the room. We're just like, oh, let's listen to the theme a little bit. Then this came up, and we sat and listened to the whole theme the whole way through.
So there are lyrics in traditional anime style. We're going to load into the game now, but I feel like this is a great introduction to Dragon's Dogma. It is that awesome orchestral intro that goes into hyper-positive J-rock, and somehow it works.
Yes.
This is a video game that I love, and that all I want is a sequel to be made. I did throw the pawn off the bridge.
Did you just kill your pawn?
She's fine. She's just a little banged up.
Yes.
So, imagine, let's say, open world, so Skyrim-esque. Not quite the same, but you know, that general format. With Monster Hunter and Devil May Cry flavoring.
That sounds good.
That is this video game. It is a world that is much like a lot of early JRPGs and still a lot of modern RPGs. Stolen whole cloth from Dungeons and Dragons.
Weird.
So there are beholders. They're not called beholders. They're called evil eyes.
Hey.
So it was a crime to pick up that person and throw it at that guard, I've learned.
So we're starting this recommendation with you in jail.
Now I'm in jail. Stripped of all of my belongings, except my rags. It's made by Capcom, which it has a great character creator. It has a sliding setting for masculine and feminine posture, which I feel like says a lot about Japanese culture, or at least the culture of the people that made this game.
Yes.
You can have heterochromatic eyes, of course. You can have scars across the eyes and one eye that's milky white, of course. You can basically make characters from Capcom games. So there is, for probably understandable reasons, the tools available to make pretty good Virgils and, you know, ladies from Devil May Cry and your Makotos and what have you. Anyways, your standard anime character creation, but then also a lot of Capcom flavoring. Also, the sound effects, if you play Monster Hunter World, you'll recognize in the character creator they use the same sound effects, because I'm pretty sure they use the same character creator.
Wait, what?
Perhaps.
Really?
The character creator in Monster Hunter World, I don't know for sure because I don't have like access to the code. But it does at least have identical sound effects, and it has a similar style of like portrait selecting for presets. So that's why I think that if not the same, then built off of it. I mean, they're both by Capcom, obviously. Anyways, in this world, it's single player, which is my only complaint about it, because you make the story is very derivative, and the setting is very derivative, because it's just, hey, Dungeons and Dragons, and here's like a fantasy story about a dragon, and the dragon steals your heart, like literally. Yeah. Not like figuratively, but no, like actually stabs you. Yeah, stabs you with its giant little like four nail toenail. I guess it's kind of like a toenail, talon, and then just kind of goes doop. It's mine now, and it's like if you want it back, you have to come kill me. He has a pretty good deep dragon voice, so that's where the
Why are
Skyrim
you spending
connection.
So much time on pants?
Look, it's important that I look right. Because I could have like slightly better stats, but I don't really like the look of those. Probably would like the longer pants. something more like boot-esque. I feel like that fits my look a little bit better. In this game, you have clothing and armor, which are stacked on top of each other. Clothing offers like very little defenses, and actually looks more like clothing. So it's just like shirts and pants.
Right, but
Or
armor goes...
the thing that's in no other fantasy RPGs, which is the padding beneath the armor.
You mean you don't put chainmail directly on your skin?
No, it's a little pinchy.
Ooh.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should have said it'll do in a pinch. Okay, I'm gonna edit that in earlier.
Okay. Oh, that was a great fun.
Oh man, quick wit, so quick. Look for Salabester. This particular so much to talk about. Let's see if I can condense it. This is New Game Plus, which is why I'm at like level 74. I've maxed out all of my vocations. This is an assassin class, which is a hybrid vocation. When you start the game,
vocations?
you can vocations are just character classes. In the classic fantasy style, when you start the game, you can choose one of three, which is Strider, Fighter, Mage, which is Rogue,
punch, shoot, or magic.
Or sneak, punch, or magic. You know, the standard three.
Whoa, forehead face.
It's a different time. Maybe the nutrition isn't as good. We're going to be heading down into the Eververse to do... this is early, even though it's at New Game Plus, it's still earlier in the game. All we've done so far is had our heart stolen by a giant dragon. And then also killed a Hydra. Well, cut off one head of a Hydra, and then did a extremely prolonged, boring escort quest in order to get to Grand Soren, which is the main city in the world.
And you had to kill a bunch of harpies, if I remember correctly.
A lot of harpies. So at character creation, you create your character, which is the Arisen. So the hero doesn't talk, just emotes. And then you have a pawn, which is your sort of servant that is bound to you or is bound to the office of the Arisen, because there are more than one Arisen as time goes along, and why that is, and that's the story. Why that is the story. So, which I actually like a lot, because although the setup is kind of derivative, the individual story beats of the missions are kind of like do a fantasy thing, walk over here and fight a ogre at this fort or whatever. Literally save this princess that is locked up in this castle, that kind of thing. It gets super weird at the end.
Okay.
Did you ever beat Dragon's Dogma?
No, because I played it on the console, and there was no fast travel to speak of in the early game. And
this is true, and that is still true. There is more fast travel, but there is no concept of go to the map and then you warp to a place. It is get farther enough along in the story, which this is the first part in the story where you get one, which is a port crystal. Actually physically go to the location you want to have as a fast travel point, put the crystal down, and then you can buy a relatively inexpensive item that you can burn in order to go to one of the port crystals that you have placed already. In the original version of the game, you get one of those. And you're like, well, I want it to be at this location on the other side of the map so that it's minimizing travel time. Let's say that this is a controversial decision.
You mean bad? You mean bad? It was a bad decision.
They wanted it. Well, it was bad, and they fixed it in Dark Arisen with a lot of things. Dark Arisen is, like I mentioned, it's the expansion pack, so it does include like a whole extra campaign called Bitter Black Isle.
It's also on PC.
It's also on PC.
So if there are things I don't like, I can fix.
Yes. One of the other things that I don't like that is fixed is it's a one save slot game.
Right.
Which is terrible for RPGs.
That's a bad idea.
It's kind of like, I guess, Dark Souls-esque in the sense of, like, you only have one, it's always auto-saving, so, like, make your decisions count. I'm like, no, that doesn't matter. Because you can do... there's a mod that's just called the Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen Save Manager, and it's just, you just run it, and then it'll just automatically move the .save file into its own backup folder every X number of times, and you can reload. It'll like, handle it for you. It's great. Because it's really just a folder that has a .save file in it, and you can even manually back up your stuff, which is fine. I've gone into the Rift, which is where the pawns live, and I've summoned a few These are made by other players, so it's not co-op, and it's not online. It's like, what is
asynchronous multiplayer.
Yes, asynchronous multiplayer. So these are characters that other players have made. I went with the one that kind of actually looked like a mage.
Yeah, had the hat and everything.
Got the hat. I was like, the hat's working for me. You can have a party of 4. There's your character that you control. There's the pawn, which is my Virgil.
Virgil.
That's my dude. And then you can have 2 others that you can hire, and you can hire higher or lower levels, which just cost, currency in order to summon in. And
Same
they have their own
level
AI.
as you is free, right?
Free, yes. Yeah. And then as you go up, it gets exponentially more expensive to hire above your level, which, that's fine. You can regularly change pawns out. If they die, they get sent back to the rift, so you have to summon them again. They're extremely talkative. They added an option for pawn chatter. If you want the real experience, leave it at normal or original, which is like infinite and unceasing.
They will tell you harpies hate fire a lot.
Did you? I feel like repetition is a good way to learn, and I learned that harpies are afraid of fire.
Also, cut the tail off of the lizard to weaken it.
We'll get a little bit of that here, just because I leave that option on.
Good, great.
It's very important to me that they constantly talk about everything.
Well, let me turn the video audio all the way up. All right,
all the way up, just for that maximal experience.
125%. Let's hear some distorted pawn chatter.
It's okay. The Everfall is probably the best location in the game until the expansion, which added Bitter Black Isle, which is expansive, like a good, long, proper dungeon, lots of hard bosses. There is some... Hey, look, I made it.
Hey, you didn't die.
Yeah, we're about it. I was going to try and do a double jump, but if you can't do the double jump unless you're on the sort of like rising part of your jump.
Okay. So it's not Super Ghost rules.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk a little bit about the character classes. You start with a 3. There's 9 total. 3 that you start with are the basic ones. There's advanced versions of those, and then there are hybrid versions of those. So Fighter Mage is Mystic Knight. So you use a magic shield. Actually, I will switch to that later just to do a little bit of variety. And then Fighter Rogue combo is the Assassin class I've got here. I forget what the exact name is. Maybe it is Assassin, but it probably has a different name that I'm forgetting right now. Make sure to have oil in your lantern, so they won't just give you a torch.
No.
Nice. So the Assassin class, this is another thing that is sort of derived from Monster Hunter. The character classes are very much about what weapons you use. So the rogue derived classes have access to double daggers, which you hold like the dual blades in Monster Hunter.
Weird.
Yeah, it's weird. And the moves that you can get are things like Helm Splitter, which, is a thing from another familiar video game.
Yeah, Devil May Cry, possibly.
Yeah. So the other specialty item that this assassin class gets, or other weapon, is bow. You have infinite arrows. You have, in the lower right there, those are your special abilities, which consume stamina. Stamina management is another thing that is Monster Hunter-esque. Lots of like collecting items. There's inventory management, weight limits, all of that. The concept of like not slow roll, but your speed being directly affected by your equipment load is a thing that's kind of, at least in this case, borrowed from Dark Souls pretty directly.
Yeah.
Another thing that can just be fixed with mods on PC if you just don't want to deal with that. There's also a pretty good mod on PC for rebalancing all of the passive bonuses that you get and how leveling up works. Leveling up works a little bit like, is it like Final Fantasy V, where the job you have gives you a certain bonus on level up? Is that how that works?
Final Fantasy V doesn't like...
No, maybe I'm thinking of 6. Or in Final Fantasy VI, depending on what Esper you have, it would give you a different bonus at level up. So this is similar to this, where hybrid builds, at least if you want to be like extremely min-maxy at the very end of the game, because you can keep doing New Game Plus, and you can do hard mode after you go through the game again, and like have all the numbers tweaked to the point where, or you can do a challenge run where you don't use pawns at all and you just go solo. Actually, the assassin here has a passive ability which specifically gives them more attack and defense when they are solo, which is called autonomy, which I actually doing a autonomous assassin in Bitter Black Isle is a very good Dark Soulsian flavor, which was pretty nice. It's also pretty difficult.
Yeah.
I love picking up these. I love picking up things. Just
Picking up guys and throwing them off a
It's
cliff
so
is
good.
fun.
Right now, my weapons have been buffed with ice because one of the pawns was using ice buffs. All of the spells though that have buffs and area effects and whatnot are physically in the world, even like healing spells. They'll be at a location. You have to stand in them to get the effects and whatnot.
Right.
Also from Shadow of the Colossus, you have the ability to grab on and sort of crawl around and stab larger monsters, like
Right.
here. This is actually more of a medium-sized monster. I was trying to do a helm splitter, it didn't work. Let me try this again. Just want to do the, yeah, I did it. They hit me.
Oh. Oof.
It clapped me. Now he's stealing me.
Right, because
Well,
you got to hear the wonderful line of "the sight of women excites it."
mm-hmm.
It's great. Are you actually moving it? There you go.
Yep. It was eventually okay. I got it.
So what happens if he actually does steal you? Do you just die?
I don't know. I don't know. Probably just goes to a spot and then throws you down and then attacks you or something. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Just play the game and find out for yourself.
Oh, no, maybe I'll have to buy Arisen. I don't know what voice that was.
Was it Caxton? It couldn't have been Caxton because you weren't commenting on how all of the things that you have are masterworks, which I do make sure to put in this video.
Good, fantastic.
I make sure to stop by Caxton because it's very important that you know that masterworks
Works
all.
all, and you can't go wrong.
You can't go wrong. It's all of them are masterworks.
Right, even though
Can't
some
go
of
wrong.
them super are not.
Oh,
hey.
Mighty Bend is a bow and arrow ability that charges up. And you have like a little charge up, and then, this is like the Mega Buster kind of thing. A lot of, as mentioned before, there's a lot of Monster Hunter and Devil May Cry in here, which is because like the combat designer from same guy from Devil May Cry 3. So you have, as mentioned, like Helm Splitter. You've got a whole bunch of moves that are very familiar, like Stinger.
Right.
Your classic Dante moves, which is always nice. It has a very good feel to it, and I just really like this game a lot, and I really wish they would make a sequel that had co-op. It's like co-op was the thing that the game didn't have that really could use. There is a Dragon's Dogma Online, which is like a Japan-only, like free-to-play MMO version. But that's not what I mean. I mean,
No.
Please. Really like throwing bodies off the cliffs. It's very amusing.
Oh, God, they're so chatty in this.
They're very chatty. And they're so much less chatty than they could be.
That's true. You could make it
Yeah.
more.
The other vocations you can get,
You have the Res Archer,
Res Archer.
the
Oh, yeah,
Archer
Mystic
where you
Archer.
paint targets like you do in
Yeah,
Res,
so
or
Mystic
Panzer
Archer,
Dragoon
which
or
is-
whatever.
Yeah, which is a Strider Mage combo, is Mystic Archer, which uses Mystic Bows, and it's bows, yes, that you paint targets on, like Jehuti and Zone of the Enders.
How
Those are
many
pretty fun.
different games can we name with that mechanic?
Look, that's the one that I just think of, but yes, plenty
You know,
of
like
games
in
use
Omega Force. You know, all those games that everybody's
that.
played.
Like Sin and Punishment. The cultural touchstone that is Sin and Punishment.
Oh, crap. So why'd you go down to the bottom of this big old pit thing?
At the bottom of this pit, which is called the Everfall, is the first port crystal. This is one of the main quests, which is just go down, experience or investigate what the weirdness that is happening at the bottom of the Everfall dungeon, like tower thing.
So I see you're giving all of your junk to Virgil.
Yes, I'm giving my junk to Virgil so that I don't have. I was thinking I might be able to get to a different weight class. As you can see, very light is the sort of lightest, which means lowest usage of stamina and fastest actual movement and so forth. The dagger abilities that I'm using with my assassin are instant reset, and there's like a rush down attack. So instant reset, this is another thing that sort of comes from the Devil May Cry lineage and the fighting game-esque side of Capcom. It is an ability that all it does is animation cancels anything you're doing currently, regardless of where you are. So it's a special ability that literally is just cancel animation. So you can use that to chain other attacks very rapidly, and it uses a lot of stamina. Unless you have stamina restoring magic or potions. Wait, there's ways to get around it.
You're being attacked by something mildly Cthulhian.
Yes, those are the eye stalks of an evil eye, which are beholders. They're not beholders, but they are exactly beholders in that they're giant eyeballs that have eye stalks, and each eye stalk has a different elemental or magic attack that it casts on you. Which is completely different than a beholder.
It's OC, please do not steal.
Yeah, please don't steal, don't steal. TM.
TM.
At this point in the game, because it's New Game Plus, I could probably just sit here and fight those eye stalks forever, because they just keep respawning. In the original version of the game, you could farm them for rare items, but they took that out. Which, whatever, it's fine.
Yeah.
All you're supposed to do in this mission is just run away.
Right.
So
fight you're supposed to lose.
The fighting is so good. The fighting and the sort of like the skills, the vocations, the just like the atmosphere and stuff. The craziness of the story once you get to post game is all like double thumbs up. Can't recommend enough. The actual like quest design from mission to mission,
It turned me off of it. Yeah.
So yeah, like it's not the best. It's a lot of like this mission itself. It's supposed to be like an exciting like escape sequence, but I guess this one probably works better than others, but like not the strongest part of the game. Right. You get to see the doofy run.
It's a good doofy run.
I like this game a lot. Other locations, double. There's some really good mage spells.
There are some like really good mage spells.
When you get meteor spam, there's a really good moment. I'm doing the rush and reset in order to just run really fast. But
a light in the furthest depths, you say.
You can.
Even we pawns.
There's another good things in this game. Not necessarily spoiling everything.
The light you speak of
there's a number of giant monsters. The giant monsters are the ones you can crawl all over, jump on. The assassin gets specific, like mounted monster attacks. You know, like the dire gouge and stuff, where you do a lot more damage. In that case, it's very like Shadows of the Colosseum.
Oh, question. Does Dark Arisen let you skip the intro?
Skip the intro?
Where you play as the other dude?
I don't think so.
Dang.
You can get a mod for that, and then I don't think you go through it again on New Game Plus. You know, I don't remember. It's been a while since I did the transition.
Right.
Yeah, there is an intro to the game, which is like serves as the tutorial in quotes.
It just takes way too long.
I mean, it's like 3 rooms and then a boss fight, but it's easy enough to run through. But
it's not Skyrim long, but I feel like it takes longer than it should.
Okay. Well, I disagree. And
That's fine. That's fine.
And
I just wish you had an option to skip it, but
it's just that your opinion is invalid. So there.
Well,
okay.
Played that card.
We should definitely talk to Caxton and see what number of his things are masterworks.
Right.
Me, I've no love of magic and its kind. Iron and steel.
That's just introductory. I want to hear me. Let me hear the thing.
There it is.
Yeah.
All right. There it is. He says that every time you talk to him.
Every time.
Ever.
Yeah, Heaven's Key is something you can get from like the last boss. So it's a very good holy elemental. It's not technically the last boss. It's one of the in game, anyways.
Right.
You can upgrade materials, upgrade your weapons. There's a concept called dragon forging that you get access to later, which is weapons that have been blessed by worm's fire. So if you are attacking or defeating dragon type enemies, which are, much harder than the other sort of wandering monsters, there's a chance that the equipment that you're using when you defeat them will be blessed by worm's fire, and they'll go up to the 4th level of upgrades. So you have like 1, 2, 3 is your normal level, and then you get a dragon icon. And then Bitter Black Isle, which is the expansion stuff, adds like different worm's fire like refinements. So you get like red, gold, silver, worm. Anyways, basically just more upgrades and stuff.
Right.
I'm gonna switch over to Mystic Knight just so I can do a quick little demo of Mystic Knight, which I find a lot of fun of. Mystic Knight has the air dash from Mega Man X. So.
Of course,
nice.
So
the vocations icons are what's highlighted in the sort of middle and then right a little bit. Where you can see those are the icons for the different vocations. It'll show you what's available for what you can equip for each of your sort of class types. Let's see, what are the other ones? The warrior, which is sort of like the advanced version of the fighter, uses two-handed weapons, so they're like great swords, great hammers. There's the, just like the archer? I forget what it's called. But it can use longbows, so it has
probably ranger or something like that.
Yeah, it's like ranger. I forget the name, but that sounds about right. Ranger sounds right. Which is all bow focused, so it's just like all bows all the time, longbows.
Right.
And then mage and sorcerer. Mage uses it's like staves, but then archmage or whatever uses arch staves. It's not really, the only difference is the amount and level of weird spells you have access to, and the spells are great.
Oh, that's a horn.
It was.
That's a fancy hat.
Yeah. Let's see. The helmets that have that's in the original version of the game, you could get Griffin's hawk armor from the let's say popular manga Berserk.
What?
I think that they took that out, but that helmet is basically the hawk armor from Berserk. If you're into that and you want to do like a Guts and Griffin cosplay, all the elements are there. We're gonna assign our skills again. These are the shortcut buttons.
Star
what I'm
next to
looking
it just means you've mastered it.
Star is the advanced version of a base skill. So what I'm actually looking for, Skydance is the air dash, which I think is really neat. So because we're switching to a different class, we had to set up our armor again. We're using maces.
Okay.
Which is something that a Mystic Knight can use. I think they can also use swords. Actually, don't quote me on that. I don't remember. They use Mystic Shields, which are
big shields, right?
I guess they're big shields. It's really more that the concept is that they infuse them with elements, and then their parries have elemental effects. So Mystic Knight is elemental parries. With the shield, and then Bastion heads in with the mace. You can air dash, and then you can also use basic mage spells, sort of like a red mage kind of thing, if you equip your staff. But the great cannon ability, which is I thought was just like tons of fun, and is a pretty good idea of there's a tactileness to the skills and magical skills in the game, which I really appreciate. Let's try and get out of town without macing anyone.
Is that a problem?
Look, sometimes I just want to mace a guard, and then you're instantly thrown in jail because it was. I look forward to the iterations on the design because Capcom was like, let's make an open world game that is vaguely in the Western style, the Western style of open world RPG. There have been attempts of late of Japanese developers to do that style. I mean, I've got like Breath of the Wild as an example.
Right.
And they still seem to focus on they focus on some of the bad stuff that no one likes, like excessive inventory management. This one, fortunately, does not have weapon degradation.
Yes.
Anywho.
Oh, wait. It feels like there's something behind that. Should we get into that now, or should we focus on the game?
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
I like Breath of the Wild, except for that.
Yeah.
There's my air dash. It's so good. Tunk.
Well, he's dead.
Combos are mash and pause. So you've got like pause combos where you switch to a separate attack combo halfway through, pause, that kind of thing. When you have a shield out, you're locked into a direction, so you kind of strafe around. There we go. That's that fire parry.
Your parry exploded.
It did. Very nice. I just want to air dash him. Okay, we're gonna use Great Cannon. Great Cannon creates a physical object in the world, and then you have to hit it. And when you hit it, it sends out homing bolts. It's awesome. I love this video game.
That is great.
So like you can aim it by hitting the opposite direction of where you want it to go. So
Right,
you have to,
right.
Actually walk over to the side, and then you have to start wailing on it with your main weapon, and then it starts spurting out homing bolts. So like that is an example of a Mystic Knight specific ability, which is extremely awesome. We're gonna switch over to the very, very, very briefly. We're gonna switch over to a Mage Staff, which I'm just gonna borrow from Virgil because he had one. The Mage has more support spells, and then the advanced form, which is like the Archmage or Sorcerer, is what it's called. Is basically only high damage attack spells, so you don't have like healing spells and that kind of stuff. The weapon you have also determines some of your movement abilities. So when you have daggers, you're in a rogue class. You can do double jump and you can do dodge rolls.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you made a little platform.
Yeah, you can make a little platform. I'm shooting magic. When you have a mage-derived weapon, so you're using a staff, you can float, which is great.
Right.
You can hover. You can hover and go pew pew pew. All the classes are great. They're a lot of fun to play through. This is the reason I was using the New Game Plus is because when I went through it again, because I played the crap out of the original version and then never got Dark Arisen until it came out on PC. Mm-hmm. And then put a bunch of mods on it and got a bunch of ran through the game normally. Didn't quite beat Bitter Black Isle. Bitter Black Isle is a very, very good expansion because it's like more of it. So there's more bosses. There's more stuff.
The bosses are great in this game.
The bosses are very good. Huge, just giant monsters that come straight out of the monster manual.
Right.
Which is fine.
It's fine. As long as they're fun, as long as the combat is fun and the encounters are fun, they don't have to be completely unique creatures.
Mm-hmm. Which is actually, when I think about it, probably another Monster Hunter derived effect of like give you a lot of options to deal with monsters and ways to interact with them. So that if you get into the end of the game and you're like farming stuff, then it's still pretty fun. You can have a fairly dynamic fights, especially if you're like crawling all over things or trying to optimize damage or what have you, or just trying it with a different character class, which is also pretty fun. Go in and just like create a bunch, just rain meteors down.
I can't remember which class it was when we were first playing through the game on consoles. You're like, man, I really don't like that class. And then later it's like, well, do you still not like it? It's like, no, they're great. Play it as them. They're perfect.
Maybe it might have been Mystic Archer.
It was one of the Punchmen that you weren't a huge fan of. Like Default Punchman or Punchy Shooty. I'm not sure which. There was one of them you really weren't a fan of, and then you played like 10 hours as that class, and you're like, nope, they're great. I figured them out.
Yeah, I don't remember. I remember not. Yes, I do remember that not all of the character classes sort of open up immediately. At least they don't really like show you like the fun necessarily, because it also depends on your job points that you accrue. Have to be spent into the jobs themselves in order to, or you level up the job itself by using the job and getting job points. But then your job point sort of pool can be used to buy moves.
Right.
So you have to do a little bit of both, where you could have a bunch of job points from just playing other jobs, but then you actually have to spend a bit of time leveling up the class to unlock the tiers. And if you're doing it on the PC version, you can just get that stuff unlocked. I still think that the progression is pretty good, and maybe just get a tweak that just doubles or triples the amount of job experience you get, and then just kind of go through and have fun fighting monsters and
Right.
like throwing oil on things and then lighting them on fire.
That
What have you.
It's very specific, but also
Or,
fun.
or look, you can throw water on things and then they become drenched, and then you can set them on lightning.
Huh.
There's a lot of fun interactions like that. There's a physicality to it, which I really appreciate. And the whole time, the pawns will constantly be talking to you about
Don't
enemy
shut up.
weaknesses.
They don't shut up.
It's so great. Dragon's Dogma.
It's a good game that now that it's been on PC for a bit, maybe I will remember that it is there and buy it and play it and realize I should have been playing it all this time.
Yep. I really would, aside from Monster Hunter World, which was the thing that I always wanted from Capcom that they eventually did.
Yes.
What I'd really be excited to hear from Capcom would be a proper Dragon's Dogma 2 that has like co-op. It's like that just sounds awesome. It was so close to being like perfect. Is if it had the co-op element, because it seems like it would, because you have to make your pawn character and you're using other people's pawn characters in as your sort of party. But without a lot of shenanigans, I don't think that was going to work. Not in the original design, anyways. So that's like basically my number one like requested feature for like another Dragon's Dogma. Also, it would be fine if they went a little bit more on the creative side instead of just picking things out of the monster manual.
Or the thing that would do it for me is like, let's do better fast travel, and let's maybe not go full Mass Effect 2 with the inventory. Maybe have some inventory, but maybe a little less.
Some sort of mule or something where you can send things, or
Or
the characters that you have are basically mules. Like when you when you set their height and weight, which you can do.
Yep.
It actually determines their maximum weight capacity, that and their passive skills. So if you have a warrior class that is the like fattest and tallest possible, they have the most amount, and you can just transfer stuff to them, and they're basically they're a pack mule. But like it's a little fiddly. It can be done. There's a lot of little menuing to get that to work, especially if you're going into like a dungeon, and like I said, because there's not a lot of fast travel, it requires this is a part of the game that I really like, and if they double down on, I would not mind, is there's a sense like in a Monster Hunter of preparing for the hunt.
Right.
Where you'd be like, I'm going to go on a journey. I have to get across the land, go into the dungeon, have enough space and resources to get the items I want, and then get back out of the dungeon and then back home to my base. So that I like, but over a long period of time, there's a tedium that sets in, which is offset by fast travel usually. So I appreciate the idea, the nucleus of the idea, because like at night, there's Castlevania style extra undead enemies and whatnot, or Legend of Zelda even. It's not that's something that hasn't happened before.
It's a terrible night to have a curse. Yeah, first time that ever happened.
There's not a lot of ambient light at night. It's like super dark. So it's like, make sure you take a lantern. It'll tell you that at the beginning of the game, but then it won't tell you that again. So you just walk out and you're like, I can't see anything. And you're like, all right, like put the lantern on. And now you've got this, you're like running through the woods at night and there's like skeletons everywhere. And then you're like, oh, right, I also need oil for the lantern. And then it's out. So you're like, all right, mage, start casting fire spells so I can see where I'm going. That or just start running.
Yeah, I think honestly the school of thought, which is, hey, you've made it there once, okay, now you can fast travel there. Like I'm a fan of that, but the big thing with the inventory, if they just changed it to where like the mushrooms and the fish and the other things that you picked up didn't have weight, that'd be nice. That'd be great. It's just like, oh, you found this like piece of armor, it's really heavy. Okay, that can count towards your weight. So maybe that I don't have 14 breastplates on me. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
But
that's a quality of life. That's a quality of life thing that was fixed in Monster Hunter World compared to previous games, where like you would get ore and it would just go back to your base instead of into your inventory, and then now you're out of space and you can't get more like
You also
gather
had to
more
bring
materials.
a pickaxe in.
Yes, you also had to bring a pickaxe, and then
And
it would break,
break.
and then make another one, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So like
You had
that
to
kind of
build
stuff would be great.
whetstones, Yeah.
I mean, playing Monster Hunter World, which I love a lot,
It's real good.
just makes me more excited for the things that Capcom can do. That is not just another re-release of Street Fighter or another Resident Evil game. I mean, they have other things.
I mean, Resident Evil 7 was really good.
Yeah, it was very good.
Not 6. 7 was very good.
7 was good. I look forward to more from those things. But I mean, and also, I mean, hey, they're doing another Mega Man. Good for them. It looks like a Mega Man game,
Shocking.
which that's nice.
Yeah.
But yes,
I
this,
have a
this
lot
is
of
this is the
experience with
thing
those.
that I want to see. I just want to see Dragon's Dogma 2 so much.
I would
I'd
love
be
to
so
see
happy.
Dragon's Dogma 2, and I would love it to come out day and date on PC. It
Yeah,
won't happen. But
If because when we're recording this, it's like a week before E3.
Mm-hmm.
So if they announced it at E3, I'd be so excited. It would basically be like when they said that they were going to, Square Enix in this case, but when Square Enix was like, we're going to make a sequel to Nier and we're going to let Platinum do the combat. And I was like, they made a game for me and David.
specifically for the two of us, though I haven't been able to play it yet. I should.
But still, I was like, that's for me. I was like, I love Nier. And the only problem I had with Nier was that the combat was like, and then I love Platinum games.
Yeah. So
I mean, I could talk for a long time about Nier and its sequel, but that's for another video.
That's for whenever I actually finish playing it, and then we can do our giant 40-part retrospective on the series.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
All right.
So if you like this recommendation, which is for Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen, and you like our content, you can feel free to support us on Patreon. It makes it a lot easier to do this stuff because we spend that money on the channel. That's what it goes to. If you can't do Patreon because it's a once-a-month thing, PayPal can't do that. Just do the other things like liking and commenting so that more people find the videos.
The YouTube stuff.
The YouTube,
It's the YouTube things.
But it's we like doing these videos. We want to keep doing them. So
Yep, and yeah. I like Dragon's Dogma.
Dragon's Dogma is, I kind of want to
really
start
like that
playing it
over the-
again, but I have to go
that-
pull. Oh no, wait, that's one of the games that got stolen. I don't own a copy of it anymore.
You like that opening music.
So good.
So good. It is.
Is that
like,
in
It's not in Dark Arisen.
No.
It's a different title song. It's a lot more just sort of like chill, like operatic register kind of choral piece.
Boo.
Yeah, I guess it fits better. I don't know. I feel like the other one fits just fine.
Yeah.
It has like Englishy lyrics where it's like the pronunciations on the words. You're like, oh, okay, I understand what he's saying, but it's like reading the lyrics and it's just like cheesy J rock and it's so good and it has that ripping guitar solo at the beginning.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It has a ripping guitar solo in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Such a good song.
Dark Arisen.
Dragon's Dogma.
Okay. We've officially whispered the name of the game so we can stop recording.
The master works all, you can't go wrong.